Studying Hegel is crucial for understanding the complexities of philosophy and history. His ideas continue to shape modern thought and society.
All right, ready to dive into some pretty deep philosophical waters today.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be tackling Hegel's concept of the Trinity.
Oh.
And, of course, we aren't talking about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in the traditional sense.
Right.
We're going to be unpacking how Hegel uses the Trinity as a structure to represent the self-mediation of the absolute spirit.
That's right. We're going deep into revealed religion territory here.
Okay, so for those who need just a super quick refresher,
Yeah.
when Hegel's talking about revealed religion, he's talking about the highest form of religion.
Yes.
Where the absolute spirit, which you can think of as God,
Yeah.
manifests itself.
Exactly. And it's within this framework of revealed religion that we encounter Hegel's fascinating interpretation of the Trinity.
So let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
What's the first big kind of mind-blowing concept that Hegel throws at us?
Well, Hegel argues that God reveals himself through self-knowledge, and this becomes conscious in humanity's knowledge of him.
Wait, so God needs us to become self-aware?
Yeah.
Great. That's a pretty radical idea.
It is.
Yeah.
Hegel flips the script on traditional theology. God isn't some distant, static being. He's active, dynamic, and constantly evolving through this process of self-revelation.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this kind of sets the stage for his interpretation of the Trinity.
Yeah.
It's not just a static doctrine, but a dynamic process of God revealing himself.
Right.
But how does he actually structure this whole process?
Yeah.
I know we have something about syllogisms.
Yes. The famous Hegelian syllogisms.
Yeah.
Hegel uses 3 of them to break down the Trinity, each representing a stage in the absolute spirit's journey of self-knowledge.
Okay.
Remember, he was obsessed with logic and how ideas unfold.
Right. So it's like he's using these syllogisms as a philosophical roadmap to trace the evolution of the absolute spirit.
Exactly.
Okay, so walk us through this first syllogism.
Yeah.
What's happening in this initial stage?
So the first syllogism focuses on the moment of universality. Think of it as the starting point, the pure, undifferentiated unity of the absolute spirit.
Okay, so it's like the Big Bang of the absolute spirit, right?
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Hegel says that within this unity, God begets himself as his son.
Hold on. So even within this initial unity, there's already a differentiation happening.
Exactly. It's like the absolute spirit is realizing its own potential, differentiating itself within itself, even as it remains a unified whole.
It's almost like a seed containing the blueprint for the entire tree.
I like that.
It's all there, but it needs to unfold and differentiate to become fully realized.
Yeah, and remember, for Hegel, this isn't a literal event happening in time.
Right.
It's a philosophical description of the internal logic of the absolute spirit.
Got it. It's about the unfolding of the idea, not a chronological timeline.
Exactly.
So we've got this initial unity that differentiates itself into God and his son.
Right.
What happens next? Take us to syllogism number 2.
All right, so with the second syllogism, things get a bit more complex. We move into the realm of particularity.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What does particularity even mean in this context?
Think of it as the opposite of universality. So if the first syllogism is about unity, the second one is about division, separation.
Okay.
The son, who embodies that initial self-differentiation within the absolute, now divides further. He becomes the phenomenal world.
Wait, the entire phenomenal world?
Yes.
That's a huge leap.
It is, and this includes both the material realm, like stars, planets, trees, and the realm of finite spirit, which includes us humans.
So Hegel is suggesting that everything that we experience, this whole messy, beautiful, often painful world, is a product of this like divine self-splitting.
Exactly. And with this division comes the concept of negativity.
Yeah.
Remember, Hegel sees negativity as a driving force in the development of the absolute spirit. It's the tension, the opposition that pushes things forward.
Okay, so this negativity isn't necessarily like a bad thing. It's more like a necessary catalyst for growth and change.
Precisely. It's through this separation from the divine, through experiencing limitations and even suffering, that the absolute spirit comes to know itself more fully.
I see. It's like an artist who needs to step back from their canvas to see the work from a distance, to gain a new perspective.
That's a great way to put it. Now, are you ready for the third act in this philosophical drama?
Bring it on. How does Hegel resolve this tension, this separation between the divine and the world?
That's where the third syllogism comes in, and it's all about individuality.
Okay, so we've gone from unity to division. Now we're talking about individual things.
Yeah.
How does that fit into the bigger picture?
This is where the divine individual, the Son, steps back onto the stage.
Okay.
But he's not just returning to that original unity. He's bringing with him all the experiences, the complexities, the negativity of the phenomenal world.
So it's not a simple return to the starting point. It's more like an integration, the synthesis of the divine and the worldly.
Exactly. The Son, having gone through this process of division and individuation, now reunites with the universal essence, but he does so in a richer, more complex way. He's no longer just the Son. He's the embodiment of the idea of spirit.
The idea of spirit, what does that even mean?
For Hegel, the idea of spirit represents the culmination of this entire process of self-mediation.
Okay.
It's a spirit that is both eternal and present in the world, a spirit that has fully realized itself through its engagement with negativity.
So it's like the absolute spirit has gone on this epic journey of self-discovery, and through that journey, it's become something even greater, something more complete.
Exactly. And remember, this whole process is about revelation.
Yeah.
Hegel argues that the absolute spirit doesn't just exist in some abstract realm. It reveals itself through this very process of self-mediation.
So it's like God is constantly revealing himself through the world, through history, through our own individual experiences.
That's a great way to put it, and this brings us back to the importance of philosophy. For Hegel, philosophical inquiry is itself a form of revelation. By grappling with these complex ideas, we're actually participating in the process of the absolute spirit coming to know itself.
So philosophy isn't just about abstract ideas.
Yeah.
It's a way of connecting with the divine, of understanding our place in this grand cosmic drama of self-realization.
Exactly. It's about seeing the connections, the patterns, the underlying logic that governs reality. And ultimately, that logic is the logic of the absolute spirit unfolding itself through time and space.
I'm starting to see why Hegel is considered such a revolutionary thinker.
Yeah?
He's not just interpreting the Trinity. He's using it as a key to unlock a whole new understanding of reality itself.
You're getting it, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many layers to explore, so many nuances to consider.
Right.
But hopefully this deep dive has given you a good starting point for further reflection.
Definitely. But before we get too carried away, I think it's time for our signature final thought segment.
Okay.
What's one provocative question our listeners can ponder as they continue their own Hegelian explorations?
How about this? How does Hegel's philosophical interpretation of the Trinity challenge or deepen traditional religious understandings? Does it offer a new way of thinking about faith, about the relationship between the divine and the human?
That is a question that could lead to some pretty intense philosophical debates.
It really could. Hegel's interpretation is definitely pushing the boundaries of traditional theology.
Yeah, he's taking this core Christian doctrine
Right.
and reinterpreting it through a completely different lens, the lens of his own complex philosophical system.
Exactly. And I think what's so fascinating is that he's not trying to, debunk or dismiss traditional beliefs.
Right.
He's trying to elevate them to show how they can be understood on a deeper, more philosophical level.
So instead of seeing the Trinity as like a literal historical event,
Right.
we're encouraged to see it as a symbolic representation of this universal process of becoming, of the absolute spirit realizing itself through this grand cosmic dance of logic.
Precisely, Hegel wants us to move beyond the limitations of a purely literal interpretation and grasp the underlying philosophical truth that the Trinity embodies.
And in doing so, we open up all sorts of new possibilities for understanding the relationship between faith and reason, between religion and philosophy.
Absolutely. Hegel shows us that these aren't mutually exclusive domains.
Yeah.
They can actually complement and enrich each other.
I think that's a really important point, especially for students of philosophy who are wrestling with those big existential questions.
It is. Hegel's philosophy provides a framework for engaging with these questions in a way that is both intellectually rigorous and spiritually profound.
That's such a great way to put it. Intellectually rigorous and spiritually profound.
Yeah.
It perfectly captures the essence of Hegel's approach.
He really does challenge us to think deeply and to connect with something larger than ourselves.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Hegel's Trinity, what's one key takeaway you hope our listeners will carry with them?
I think the most important thing to remember is that for Hegel, the Trinity isn't just a static doctrine. It's a dynamic process. It's a story of becoming, of self-realization, of the absolute spirit unfolding itself in and through the world. And we as finite beings are a part of that story.
That's a powerful image to hold on to.
Yeah.
We're not just passive observers, but active participants in this unfolding drama of the absolute spirit.
Exactly. And that participation is both a privilege and a responsibility.
Yeah.
We're called to engage with the world, to wrestle with its complexities, and to contribute to the ongoing process of self-realization.
Beautifully said. It's a reminder that philosophy isn't just about abstract ideas. It's about understanding ourselves, our place in the cosmos, and our connection to the divine.
And it's about recognizing the beauty and the wonder of the journey.
Well, folks, there you have it. Hegel's unique and thought-provoking take on the Trinity. We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to continue exploring the rich landscape of Hegelian thought. Until next time, stay curious.